The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Introduction to the USDA SBIR program. I'm Rebecca Todd, your moderator this morning. I work as Innovation Specialist for the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. We are taxpayer funded to provide confidential one-on-one consulting, training, and market research services for entrepreneurs and established businesses across the state. We've been working in Arkansas for over 40 years and have 10 regional offices throughout the state that allow us to serve companies where they're at. One more office is slated to open later this year, and most of our regions have at least one university-based center. Through our center's competitively awarded federal and state technology grants, the ASBTDC is able to offer continued outreach through events like this webinar to share information about the SBIR program for statewide and national audiences. We help entrepreneurs with each step of preparing and submitting small business innovation research, or SBIR, proposal applications, as well as state-level applications for supplemental technology commercialization funds. In our last FAST project year, we supported 122 clients, helped with 39 SBIR and small business technology transfer proposal submissions, and our clients won 14 total awards. To date, our clients have won over 70 SBIR and STTR awards across the participating agencies, including USDA. Through our industry database subscriptions, we are able to locate market data to help our technology clients prepare key sections of their SBIR proposals, such as the commercialization plans. Everyone who is registered for today's event will be receiving a copy of the slides as well as a link to the recording within 2 days via GoToWebinar email. So before we start, let's take a moment to ensure that everyone is ready and familiar with GoToWebinar. So first, you should have a control panel that you see on the right side of your screen. You can minimize the panel by clicking on the arrow button, which is orange in the upper left corner. And you can expand the panel by clicking on that same button. So take a moment to practice. And second, you have the ability to submit questions using the question pane located near the bottom of the control panel. So please do type in your questions as we go through our presentations today, and we'll have time at the end for a Q&A session with our speakers. With that, I want to go ahead and introduce today's speakers, Melinda Coffman and Cathy Cohn. After earning her Bachelor in Science degree in Agriculture from Northwest Missouri State University, Melinda Coffman was planning a career in sustainable agriculture when she was sidetracked. While serving as an advocate for a family member with severe and persistent mental illness, she became interested in the field and accepted a position in a community mental health center. Her work received recognition from the University of Kansas Center for Mental Health Research and Innovation, and this is where she was recruited for a position. Melinda gained a plethora of experience at the University of Kansas, from training, consulting, to research and program evaluation. She felt an affinity for research and was able to learn and develop her research skills with both quantitative and qualitative data. She also expanded her program evaluation knowledge and became the primary evaluator for the evidence-based and emerging practices that were promoted by CMHRI. Melinda served as the lead research associate for a national study organized by Dartmouth University. She and her colleagues completed the analysis of that data ahead of schedule. Through her research and evaluation projects, she became proficient in multiple evidence-based and emerging practices. She co-authored multiple Fidelity instruments and academic publications. Melinda earned her MBA from Benedictine College to further her interest in applying business principles to social problems. She is a strong proponent of data-driven decision-making, project management tools and techniques, and results-based management. She also acquired an interest in entrepreneurism through her MBA program, in addition to some individual entrepreneurs she has known. Melinda has served as a consultant during her work at Kansas University, later as an independent contractor. She possesses the ability to work with a wide variety of individuals as an effective influencer and enjoys the challenge of building and maintaining positive and productive professional relationships. Melinda is excited about her new position as the USDA SBIR Program Coordinator, which she began in late August of 2020. On a personal note, among her favorite things are laughter and dogs. Cathy Cohn serves as the USDA Agricultural Research Service Technology Transfer Liaison in the Office of Technology Transfer. And Cathy's duties involve outreach activities and overseeing the Agricultural Research Partnerships, or ARP, Network, which is a public-private partnership model that expands the impact and reach of ARS technology transfer efforts. So with that, I'll now turn the presentation over to Melinda. Take it away, Melinda.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Melinda Coffman from the SBIR USDA Program Coordinator. I'm happy to be here today. Okay. So I just want to start by talking a little bit about the SBIR program goals. So there are 3 goals, and one is to meet the federal research and development needs by stimulating technological innovation. Secondly, we want to increase private sector commercialization of innovation derived from federal R&D funding. And then thirdly, we want to foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by women and socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Some of the features of the USDA SBIR program include: ideas are investigator initiated, awards are based on scientific and technical merit, PI and company qualifications, and the commercial potential of the innovation. Subcontracting to universities and USDA labs is permitted and encouraged, and we'll be talking more about that. Success metrics from receiving SBIR grants include an increase in the number of new jobs created, increase in sales of technology or services that are developed, and sale to other businesses of licenses to the technology developed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble here advancing my slides. There we go. Sorry about that. So the USDA SBIR program has an annual budget around $29 million. The funding opportunities, for instance, in FY21 was phase 1 is generally 8 months and it's $100,000. For phase 2, it's 2 years and it's $600,000. It's just some samples of award amounts and percentages. Phase 1 in FY19, we had 79 awards out of 533 applications, so it was a 14.8% award rate. And in FY20, we had 70 awards out of 435 applications, which was a 16.1% award rate. For phase 2, the award rate is higher, as you can see. So in FY19, we had 26 of 64, which is a 40.6% award rate, and FY20, 29 out of 68, which is a 42.6 award rate. We also have to provide technical and business assistance, and or what we refer to as TABA or TABA. It was introduced as part of the John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2019. TABA can include IP legal costs, marketing, financial review, things around market research, anything related to manufacturing, activities related to that. And then I want to emphasize that for TABA that it is in addition to your budget. So if for phase 1, you can have a $100,000 up to $100,000 budget, and then we provide funding the $6,500 for TABA. It does not come out of your budget for phase 1 or phase 2. So we provide $6,500 to develop a commercial plan, and that's something that's required for phase 2 submission. So, and then for phase 2, it's $50,000, and that was to further commercialization and moving into the market. These are our topic areas for the USDA SBIR program. We have forests and related resources, which is 8.1. We have 2 topic areas for plant production and protection. One is 8.2 for biology, and the other is 8.13 for engineering. And then we have 8.3, which is animal production and protection, and 8.4, conservation of natural resources. 8.5 is food science and nutrition. 8.6 is rural and community development. 8.7 is aquaculture. 8.8, biofuels and bio-based products. And 8.12 is small and mid-sized farms. So you'll see on the slide that 8.6 and 8.12 are in red font, and that's because for these two topic areas, you don't necessarily have to have a completely new innovation. It can be an off-the-shelf or existing innovation or product that is used in a new or an innovative way. This is just kind of a reminder of some of the technologies that we use in the USDA SBIR program. So, we go from everything from robotics to, nanotechnology to microelectric mechanical systems, acoustics, precision agriculture, biofuels, genetic engineering. So it's really a very broad scientific field. So the timeline for this year, for FY22, is for phase 1, we're hoping that the RFA will be released in July, it usually is, and then the proposal deadline will be October of this year. The panels will take place in January of 22, and awards made in June through August of 22. For phase 2, this is a good place to emphasize that phase 2 is only open to phase 1 awardees. We have no path for straight to phase 2. The RFA is usually released in December, so December of this year. The proposal deadline is February or March of 22, panels in July of 22, and notifications in August. Awards will be made in November of 22. Rebecca, do you have any questions about that or anything you want to add?
No, I don't have anything at the moment.
Okay. The USDA SBIR review process, we'll take a few minutes just to talk about that. So proposals are evaluated, it's by a confidential panel of peer reviewers, and they come from all parts of the topic area, from academia, from federal labs. We have Cathy here that'll talk more about that, nonprofits, industry, and both for phase 1 and phase 2, we use these panel reviewers plus ad hoc reviewers. And so all applicants get copies of the reviews with the panel comments on them, which is can be very helpful if, since for phase 1, for instance, since there is a 15% award rate, you can have that feedback from the panels to, if you don't make it the first round, to adapt your proposal and apply the next round. Phase 1 applicants that were not selected can reapply, but phase 2 applicants can only apply that one time. University and government scientist involvement in the USDA SBIR program is strongly encouraged. Scientists can serve as consultants or receive a subcontract and continue to work full-time at their home institution. If they do that, they're limited to no more than 1/3 of the phase 1 award or 1/2 of the phase 2 award. Scientists can also serve as the principal investigator on an SBIR grant by reducing employment at their home institution to 49% or less for the duration of the grant period. And if the SBIR research is performed someplace other than their lab, that is also something that we require. It's usually not acceptable for university or government scientists to serve as consultants and have the research done in their lab. So that's a really important point that we want to emphasize. And then develop a cooperative research and development agreement, or a CRADA, with a USD lab or license to a USD innovation. And The next slide will talk about that. What you might ask, what is a CRADA? And we have Cathy Cohn here that will be presenting after I do, and she'll explain more about that. But in general, if you have one of these agreements, in the event that 2 or more applications are approximately equal value, the existence of a CRADA with the USD laboratory or a license to a USDA technology will be an important consideration. And you'll hear more about that soon from Cathy. Some factors that improve your chances of award success include having high technical or scientific merit and strong commercial potential. We don't shy away from proposals that are high risk and a high reward. So don't let that discourage you. If you have a high risk but potentially high reward proposal, please consider applying. Having good consultants and credit agreement, those are really encouraged. Having business expertise on your team is encouraged. Strong letters of support from phase 3 partners. So end users, consumers, investors, that's very important to have those strong letters of support, and make sure they're addressed to you and not to the USDA. Just submit them to us. And then demonstrating that you have a clear understanding of the entry and sustainability in the market for your innovation. So I have more advice for phase 1. Provide a vision of where you want to be at the end of phase 2. So take, in phase 1, your proposal, take us all the way to the end of phase 2 and what your vision is for that. What is the market opportunity? Focus the phase 1 research on the critical enabling factors for your innovation. Sell the importance of your project and the alignment with USDA priorities. Provide a detailed experimental plan and include proprietary information. Provide insight into commercial potential and show the connectivity in the communities you're intending to serve, including those letters of support that we just spoke about. And yet more advice for phase 1. In a practical sense, if you can get your registrations completed early, like your DUNS number, sam.gov, grants.gov, SBIR.gov, just get those done and get them out of the way. I just want to emphasize that because we do have applicants, maybe even each year, that miss one of those deadlines, and it prevents them from being able to apply. So I really encourage you to do that early. And then contact the topic area national program leader for a consult. And probably the best way to do that is to write a summary, like a very brief informal summary of your project. Just take a paragraph or 2 paragraphs at most and email it to the national program leader, who will be in the RFA listed under the topic area that you choose, and ask for a consult, ask for some times for a phone consult. And then follow all the application guidelines for the format, page limits, and required documents. Read the RFA. There's a reason why that's in red font. It's very important to really get to know that document. And most of your questions can be answered through the RFA. Ensure that the application responds to all the review criteria listed in the RFA and apply early. Lastly, I just want to go through some USDA SBIR success stories. Alteros Energies had Alteros Buoyant Airborne Turbine, or BAT, leverages proven aerospace technology, and it lifts the wind turbine into the strong, consistent winds that are much higher than the traditional towers can reach. Economic power generation for rural communities and remote locations. This commercialization success, it was featured in CNN's 2014 edition of the CNN 10 and Inventions in the New York Times. The telecoms group SoftBank has invested $7 million in Alteris Energies for the future deployment of the BAT technology in Japan. Prairie Aquatac. It's a natural process to convert soybean meal to fish meal using microbial enhancement, and it's called MePro. Commercialization success, they were recipient of the 2019 Aquafeed Innovation Award in Cologne, Germany. They commissioned a 30,000 square foot facility in the summer of 2019 to scale up production, and they've had samples sold to manufacturers in 12 countries. New products are coming to market this year. Imbrex. Imbrex is older technology, but it's important, and you'll see why as we go through this, that Imbrex developed a higher throughput and superior technology for ovo vaccination. The technology provided benefits to enhance efficiency and bird performance. In 2001, it was they had 44 million in revenues. Employees increased from less than 10 to over 200, and they were purchased by Pfizer. So again, I'm Melinda Coffman. I'm the SBIR program coordinator. We also have Kelly McDonald, our SBIR program specialist, who has a great deal of knowledge. You can reach any of us with questions at sbir@usda.gov. You can also reach me or Kelly by just putting a dot in between our names, melinda.kaufman@usda.gov. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Melinda.
Sure.
I'm going to pass over to Cathy. So just a second here, I'll get you set up, Cathy.
All right. Okay, I think you can, I think I'm here. Let me get my slides. Okay. All right, Rebecca, can you see my slides?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, I'm off. Thanks, Melinda, for that great overview. And so, yeah, Rebecca, thanks everyone for joining us today. My name, again, is Cathy Cohn. I'm from the Office of Technology Transfer at USDA Agricultural Research Service. We're also known for short as ARS, and I'll be referring to us as ARS throughout my talk. I do want to let you know that I'm going to throw a lot of information at you pretty quickly, so feel free to jot down my email address and contact me at the end. I'll be glad to set up a meeting and talk to you. So if you don't pick up everything, that's fine. Just feel free to reach out to me. I'm available. Also, at the end, we're going to be making these PowerPoint slides available to you. I'm going to be showing you a lot of various websites as I talk on some of my slides. If you don't want to copy them down because then you miss what I'm saying, don't worry about it because you'll be getting the slides sent to you. I believe Rebecca's going to send them to you after my talk. So I just want to point one thing out before I get started, that I work for ARS, and NIFA, which is our sister agency, is where Melinda works. And these are two different agencies within the USDA. USDA is a huge place. So NIFA administers funding programs, including the SBIR program, as you just learned about from Melinda. The agency I work for, ARS, is a USDA's chief scientific in-house research agency. So we do basic research and development. We are not a funding agency. We really don't give money out. Our job is finding solutions to agricultural problems that affect Americans every day from field to table. So at USDA, we do have a unique program that can help you improve your chances of receiving a USDA SBIR award. So the USDA SBIR program and USDA ARS, where I work, we have a collaboration to encourage small businesses to form research partnerships. And Melinda mentioned this during her talk, that the chances of winning a phase 1 award are about 15%, and winning a phase 2 goes up, it's about 42%. But if you form a research partnership with an ARS researcher, your chances of receiving a phase 1 award goes way up, and this is just from history, goes up to about 80%. And I'll talk a little bit more about why later. Doesn't mean you get really a big leg up or that we're going to fast stream you to the SBIR grant. You still have to go through the whole procedure of submitting your SBIR proposal, and it has to get evaluated. But there's some factors that really can help your chances when you do partner with us. And like I said, I'll hit upon this in a minute. So Melinda mentioned during her talk that there's language in the actual SBIR solicitation about how a CRADA, and a CRADA is actually a formal partnership agreement, and I will be covering these in a few minutes in my talk. But anyway, having a CRADA with ARS or even another federal agency can be an important consideration to breaking a tie when determining whether or not you're going to get SBIR funding from the SBIR program. So basically, a collaboration with ARS could enhance your chances of getting USDA SBIR funding. However, there's no guarantee you'll get funded, but a partnership could certainly help. So today, what I want to do is have you get out of my presentation a general understanding of how working with ARS could possibly enhance your SBIR proposal. But before I talk about partnerships, I want to give you a brief overview of ARS and who we are. So the mission of ARS is to deliver scientific solutions to national and global agricultural challenges. So ARS research is focused on relevance, impact, and quality. And our vision is global leadership in agricultural discoveries through scientific excellence. And taking a quick look at a snapshot of our profile, we have around 2,000 scientists and postdocs, and they work on around 660 research projects. And we have actually over 90 research locations all over the country, and our annual budget is about $1.5 billion. So how we actually meet our mission is through our 4 pillars, our national programs. And what these programs do is they serve to bring coordination and communication to the approximately 660 research projects that I mentioned. So the programs are listed on the slide here, but they're nutrition, food safety and quality, animal production and protection, crop production and protection, and natural resources and sustainable agricultural systems. So under these 4 national programs or pillars, we actually have 15 research programs, and they're shown on this slide. So you can see that we really cover a broad range of research topics in agriculture. We're very holistic in what we cover. We don't cover everything, but we cover a lot. And you can learn more about our national programs and projects on the national program website. And I have it on the slide at the bottom. Again, the slides will be available for you later, so you don't need to write it down. But you can also just go directly to the ARS website, which is ars.usda.gov, and scroll around, and you'll get all kinds of information about our scientists and our projects and expertise that we have. So I mentioned that we have over 90 research facilities, and on this map, the little small round circles actually indicate the locations of our facilities throughout the country. So ARS is really a kind of a great kept secret. I don't think everybody or a lot of people do not realize how broad of an impact we have in agricultural research in this country. So some of our facilities are actually on or part of land-grant universities, but not all of them. We have many independent research facilities that are owned by ARS. So just taking a little closer look, for instance, at Arkansas, these are the 6 ARS research units in the state. And as far as finding a partnership with ARS, as a company or an outside entity, you can partner with ARS scientists located in any part of the country. You don't have to find a partner right in your immediate location. So when I work with a small company and try to help matchmake and help them identify potential ARS researchers for them to talk to, I start out by trying to find a researcher at ARS that is as close as I can to them. But many times this is not possible. Partnerships really are not limited then by geographic location. Partnerships are based more on common research interests and also on the type of expertise you are looking for. So if you're looking for adding to, because you need an expert in soil or something, we can't guarantee that that person would be in your state. You might have to find a partner elsewhere in the country. So our scientists have all kinds of ways of safely and securely sharing data and files because many of our partnerships are long distance. So for instance, at ARS, we have a dedicated scientific research network, and it's called SciNet. And it's to facilitate large-scale transfer of research data at high speeds. So collaborators that are covered under a formal agreement working with ARS can actually get an account. So that's just one of several different ways we can transfer data. But I'm going to just stop real quickly here and just reach out to Rebecca and ask her, Rebecca, do you have any comments or questions? Did I leave anything out?
Is there any advantage to partnering with a location within the state of the company versus going out of state on these SBIR projects?
There is. I mean, if you can get a company, if the company can find a researcher at ARS that is close to them, you know, you can hop in your car and go drive there. You know, it's not as easy, and it's very expensive now to fly. Also, if you have a formal relationship with an ARS scientist, you can come and work, maybe not for your whole project, but you can come to our lab and work alongside the scientists. So that could be an advantage as well. But like I said, it's not always possible to find a company that's, I mean, an ARS researcher that's close to the company. But, you know, long distance partnerships are very common within our agency, and we make them work. So anything else, or should I move on?
What about costs? What kind of expenses should a company be prepared to pay for if they do partner in this way, regarding personnel, materials, and testing?
Good point. So our SBIR partnerships are very, very low cost. And so let me just mention, the reason our scientists are always eager to reach out and work with companies of all sizes is that one of their goals at ARS is they have to have impact. They can't just publish. So in their performance plans, our ARS scientists actually have to have impact to the work that they do. If they start out as a junior scientist at ARS and they want to get promoted and get recognition, they are going to have impact. So they're delighted to work with companies of all sizes, because again, if they're working with a company on a technology that could potentially get commercialized, you know, that's huge for them. So our SBIR agreements, you know, when we're working with a company that's going to be applying for SBIR or gets SBIR funding, they're very low cost, right? We can't gouge these small companies and expect them to pay for a lot. So really what we ask of a small company is we want them to pay maybe for materials and supplies. So if we're helping them do experiments to benefit them, you know, we're not going to pay for those materials and supplies. But the really neat thing is it really can leverage a small company's scientific expertise, because a small company cannot pay for an ARS researcher's time, so you can't pay our salaries and you can't pay for our facilities. So we can be partnering with you, and really you're going to have to pay, again, something. And I believe for phase one, you can use up to if you get a phase one SBIR award, and Melinda can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you can use up to a third of that to pay for outside help. So you can take a little bit of that money to help fund the agreement with ARS to pay for these supplies. But you cannot pay, or, you know, you're not allowed to pay for our scientists or our facilities. So anything, does that answer your question, Rebecca? Anything else?
It does. We did have a question come in, but we can hold off on that, or however works best. That's the question.
Let me just finish up, since we're
sure.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and finish up, and then we can do questions at the end, and then maybe you can read it to me, because I know we were kind of going to do that. But I do want to go on and say, talk about some of the benefits of having a collaboration with an ARS researcher. Some of these may be obvious, but some of them may not. So first, a collaboration can help you leverage expertise and allow you to work with world-renowned ARS researchers. Another neat thing is that at ARS, we actually draft and prosecute our own US patents in-house. So in my office, because I work in the Office of Technology Transfer, we have a staff of patent advisors, and they have different areas of expertise. You know, we have a biologist, we have mechanical engineer type folks. So it's almost like a boutique for patent prosecution. They actually are experts in various areas. Anyway, so it can be a huge advantage for a small company that is working with us in form of a partnership, because ARS can take the lead on patent protection for ARS owned or jointly owned technologies resulting from a formal partnership. So another benefit, which I mentioned earlier, is that a partnership with ARS can increase your chances of winning a USDA SBIR grant award. And this is for several reasons. So first, an ARS collaborator can provide another set of eyes for reviewing your SBIR proposal. So our scientists will not write the proposal for you, but they certainly can give you guidance and make suggestions and help make sure that you're focused and the information is relative. So it's another set of eyes that can help you with your proposal. Many of our sagentists, though they're funded as federal employees, their labs are funded, they feel like they don't get enough money because they have a lot of postdocs, or you know, they're aggressive. Many of them write their own grants. And sometimes they collaborate with university staff, university professors or whatever, and they write joint grants. So many of them are very knowledgeable and very successful at grant writing. So again, they can be a set of eyes that can help review your proposal for you. Also, by engaging in a formal collaboration with an ARIS scientist, your company's technology is kind of pre-vetted for the SBIR program, because our researchers can only work on projects that are relevant to their mission and the mission of ARS. And for our scientists to be able to collaborate with a company or other outside entity, the project must get approved by several different layers at ARS. So the scientist research leader has to approve it, as well as management, before it can go forward. All right, so I'm going to move on and just talk about some of the mechanisms that we use for entering into a partnership. This is certainly not a complete list, but these are some of the common tools that we use for forming partnerships with outside entities. The first, of course, we've already talked about briefly, which is the Collaborative Research and Development Agreement, which is also known as a CRADA. And I'm going to cover CRADAs more in a minute. We have other types of collaborative agreements, but the CRADA is the most common that we use for partnering with small companies. We do have patent licenses, so we have technologies that are sitting on the shelf that have patents or patent pending on them. And I'll cover this a little bit later in the talk. And also we have biological materials which are available for licensing. And these are all kinds of materials that we have, such as like hybridoma cell lines, clone genetic materials, microbial recombinant viruses, and so forth and so on. And these you can get from ARS through a biological materials license. And if you're interested in something like that, just contact me and I can get you in touch with the right people to learn about materials that we have available. So I want to move on and cover the famous CRADA that we keep mentioning, the CRADA, or Cooperative Research and Development Agreement. Again, it's the most common agreement we use for collaborating with small companies. So basically what it is it's a legal agreement for collaborative research between one or more federal labs and one or more non-federal parties. And the purpose of a CRADA is to foster federal-private collaborations to bring new technologies to the marketplace. And CRADAs are not unique to ARS, they are used federal government-wide. So any federal agency that has research and development is using the CRADA as a tool for forming and setting up formal collaborations. And there's really two components to a CRADA. One is the template, which contains all the standard terms and conditions. And the second component is a statement of work. And CRADAs are available on our website if you would like to review our template, and I'll be showing you that website in just a minute. So why would you consider the CRADA? Well, there's a lot of benefits to setting up a CRADA with ARS for both you as a company or other outside entity and ARS. But obviously they allow for collaborative interaction to complete projects more efficiently, but they can also hasten the introduction to new technology into the commercial sector. So a partnership can provide access to ARS facilities and our equipment. So if you're working in a collaboration with an ARS researcher, as I already mentioned, you can come work at our facility alongside the ARS scientist. Also, CRADA protects any existing proprietary information brought to the CRADA effort by the company. So any information you bring in is totally protected because you're under the umbrella of a CRADA agreement. Also, information generated under the CRADA, which is usually called protected CRADA information, may be protected from disclosure for up to 5 years. So also, the collaborator or company has the option to negotiate an exclusive license to ARS rights in any CRADA subject invention that results from the research. So the requirements for setting up a CRADA are as follows. The project has to meet the mission of an ARS laboratory. So we must have a laboratory at ARS already working in your particular field of interest. And we have to have the type of scientific expert at ARS you are looking for. So, that has to be, we have to have that. Well, we can help many people find partners, many companies. In some cases, it may not be possible. We can't always hook you up with the scientists to work with. Next, the work done under a CRADA must be a collaborative effort. So we don't just test your stuff. So if you have a product or a device and you just want us to look and test it or evaluate it, we don't do that. It actually has to be a joint collaborative project where we're both working on advancing the project. because we don't really get anything out of it at ARS if we're just testing for other people. I mean, our scientists, want to gain knowledge and learn stuff as well, so it has to be a collaborative situation. And finally, just to let you know, CRADAs are actually initiated by ARS researchers, not by the small business. So if you find an ARS researcher to collaborate, the ARS scientist submits the CRADA internally, and then it goes through an approval process at ARS. So the CRADAs are actually started at by our scientists. So just some of the steps you would need to take if you're interested in a CRADA. Obviously, the first thing you have to do is find a partner. And I'll talk more about this in a minute, some of the ways you can identify our scientists. But you want to do this sooner than later, because this all takes time. You're not going to just meet a scientist, build a relationship, set up a CRADA, and apply for SBIR overnight. You need to really not procrastinate. This is something, I mean, if you're thinking of applying, you need to do this as soon as possible, because this stuff takes time. Also, if your company and the ARS scientists decide to work together, the next thing you need to do is work out the project details and draft a statement of work together. So you need to figure out who's going to be responsible for what, and also the small budget. And this CRADA statement of work has to align with your SBIR project work plan. So they have to be the same project in order for the SBIR program to say, yeah, they have a CRADA, that's helpful. Also, while you're working on the CRADA statement of work with your ARS research partner, you should also be reviewing the CRADA template that contains the legal framework. And if you have any questions, then you can work with ARS. We have various people in our agency you can work with that can help you understand and understand the legal terms that you may have questions about. Then on this slide at the bottom, I have the website where you can actually find the CRADA template for ARS. And on this website, there's also other agreement templates. So for non-disclosure agreements, material transfer agreements, and so forth, we have all of our templates all in one place at this website that I show you on the slide. I do want to mention that we can do letters of collaboration. So ARS can provide you a letter of intent. We call them letter of collaborations, indicating we agree to participate on your proposed research project. And then you can submit this letter with your SBIR your proposal. We can do this before a CRADA is put into place, so you can submit the letter. But we cannot put in the letter information that includes like an endorsement or an evaluation. The only thing the letter is, it's a letter of collaboration saying we intend to collaborate you. But keep in mind, letters take time. Before an ARS researcher can write you a letter of intent, the project plan has to get approved internally through ARS. So you can't just have a conversation with the scientist at the last minute and say, hey, can you quickly write me a letter of intent so I can put it in with my proposal? It won't work. Our scientists you're gonna have to have a project plan worked out. Our scientists are gonna have to make sure that it's approved, and then they can send you a letter of collaboration. In a perfect world, another way you can do this is you can actually set up a CRADA before you actually submit your SBIR proposal. And what you can do is there can be language in the CRADA that says that the funding obligations are contingent upon you receiving an SBIR award. So you can have a CRADA in place with language in there that will protect you in case you don't get funded. But that way, if you do get funded, boom, you're ready to go out the door because you've got the CRADA in place already. And this is very common. A lot of small companies will do this. They'll negotiate and put a CRADA in place and then just hope that they get funded. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how would you find a potential research collaborator at ARS. So one thing you can do is obviously review publications. All of our scientists write publications, and they're in all kinds of trade journals and all kinds of scientific journals. And through those, you can identify researchers that way. You can also contact me. I would be glad to help you by being a matchmaker and try to identify some scientists that you could start conversations with, see if you have areas of interest. There's also research resources on our website you can look at. So we have a project search engine, which is a good way to find ARS scientists working in your area of interest. And the contact information for the scientists is on the project pages, and you can actually reach out just directly to our scientists and say that, hey, you'd like to have a conversation, see if there's an area of common interest. And what you would want to do is kind of start at a high level and not disclose too much confidential stuff. And if it looks like that there's something there, then we can put a non-disclosure in place, and then you can have another conversation and you can get more down into the weeds and, talk about more confidential stuff. Also, as I already mentioned, we have our national program website, which is loaded with information. It talks about our research projects. It has contact information for our scientists for all the projects. Another great resource is actually, you can look at our projects by geographic area. So ARS divides the country into 5 regions, or we call them areas, and you can see them in the little map I have at the bottom of the slide. Those are the 5 regions where we divide the country. And you can actually go to this website that I have listed here, and it has the research listed by geographic areas, by the 5 regions in the country. So this is another way to kind of look at what we do and learn about our projects. I did mention that we do have technologies on the shelf that are patented or patent pending. These technologies are available for licensing. We don't have a ton of them, and the reason being is we do a lot of partnerships, so a lot of our technology is already taken up. I mean, it's done already in collaboration with a company, but we do have, a list of technologies that are on the shelf available, and it's on our Office of Technology Transfer website. I've got the website on the slide here. There's a short description of the available technologies for licensing, and they're very easy to understand. They're listed by topic area, so you can easily scroll the topic areas that you may be interested in. I just want to end with a couple examples of successful partnerships to inspire you. So these are companies that partnered with ARS. They did a CRADA. They also applied and won SBIR funding, and they've been successful and they have products. So one example involves our ARS Western Regional Research Center, which is in Albany, California. And out there, they are actually experts at solving food manufacturing problems. They do all kinds of stuff with food and food processing. So a small company called Regrained, which is based in San Francisco, and they set out to transform beer brewing waste and byproducts into value-added tasty ingredients and products. So beer breweries, I guess, produce billions of pounds of spent grain each year, and the brewer's grain actually has incredible nutritional value. So the company Regrained partnered with our scientists, and they did the project actually at our ARS pilot plant facility, which is, this one is located in Western Regional Research Center in California. So I want to put a plug in. ARS actually has 5 pilot plants in the US. They're different parts of the country. And at these facilities, ARS and industry partners work together on process development and scale up of products. So if you have a formal partnership, you can actually come and work in one of our pilot plants. You can't just go to a pilot plant on your own. You have to have a collaborator at ARS and be working with us to use our pilot plants. But I want to get back to the success story. So Regrained won a USDA SBIR Phase 1 in 2018. And in partnership, Regrained and ARS developed a patented process creating ingredients from brewery spent grains. And now the company Regrained, they produce and sell snack puffs and nutritional bars out of the spent grain. Another example, this one is quicker. It's a company called Pancopia, which is based in Hampton, Virginia. They worked with ARS, and they had SBIR grants from both USDA and NASA to develop a water recycling process to help recycle the used water by astronauts in the International Space Station. Now, the SBIR grants were not exactly the same. You can't get 2 grants from 2 different agencies on the exact same topic area. So what they did is, back on Earth, they were working with ARS to develop commercial units for removing nitrogen in swine lagoons and eliminating ammonia or odors using adaptations from the space technology and also a bacteria that was developed by ARS. So Pancopia is also working on a system to treat water wastes, municipal water waste that has the potential to cut expenses. So I want to then get finally to some context at ARS. So as I mentioned, we divide the country up into 5 areas. And each of our areas has an ARS employee. They're called technology transfer coordinators, and they live in various parts of the country. And these folks are very, very valuable. So what they can do is they can indeed try to help you identify potential research partners working in your field of interest. I can help you as well, but the tech transfer coordinators also can help you. They actually will know more about the technologies in their particular area in the country because they're going to be an expert on the area they live and work in. They know all the scientists, they know what's going on in more detail than I will. They also can help you establish a CRADA. That's actually their job. One of their main roles is to negotiate and put CRADAs in place. And they also work on all kinds of other agreements with companies and outside entities. So you're welcome to contact them directly. And then to end, this is my contact information. You can always start with me. I'm pretty knowledgeable. I can certainly help try to matchmake you with some of our scientists, and I can also point you in the right direction of the right people you do need to contact within the agency. Okay, that was long-winded, and I'm done. And I hope that most of the stuff made sense. So I'll give it back to Rebecca to answer some questions.
Well, thank you so much, Cathy. This was great information. Excuse me. Thanks for all the details and instruction about how to get from place to place through your site and find projects and partners and all that great stuff. So
yeah, it's a lot. So people need the slides, definitely, because there's a lot of websites on there.
And you will receive slides as well as recording within 2 days. So no worries about if you miss something or want to go back, you'll have access to that information.
And remember, all those websites I showed you are really on the ARS website. I mean, if you go to ARS, you know, our general website, you can scroll around and get to all those sites. I just made it easier for you and actually gave you the actual location to the topic I was talking about.
Okay, yes, thank you. So it looks like we did have a few questions come in. The first one looks like it's from Melinda. And this one asks, what does the USDA look for with regard to PI qualifications?
Well, for PI qualifications, actually, we don't prescribe a lot with that. So, you know, you can serve as a PI as long as you have a plan for a proof of concept to carry that through. Usually, oftentimes, PIs are, you know, have some university experience, some research experience in industry or university. That is most common, but it is actually not required if you feel, you know, that you can put together a proof of concept and carry it through.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question asks, how does USDA protect applicants' proprietary information in their SBIR proposals?
So I'll take that if that's okay. Yeah, it's we're very careful about that. It's very protected. So we have applications where we keep the proposals that are safeguarded and very protected. And so I don't think we've ever had an issue with that. The only thing is that you will also be, if you're awarded a grant, you will also be providing a report that is more public facing, and you have to take your proprietary information out of that particular report because the public does have access to it if they want it. And so that's the only thing. It's called report, capital REE, and then port. So if you receive a phase 1 application, you'll be providing 2 technical reports which will have proprietary information and will be protected. And then you'll be also providing a report that summarizes your project without proprietary information. So I hope that answers the question.
All right, perfect. And when reviewers look at these proposals, don't they sign an agreement too that everything that they look at is they're bound to confidentiality?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I should have addressed that. Yes, there is confidentiality agreement for the panels that review the proposals and a conflict of interest assessment. And so if one of the panelists does have a conflict of interest, then they disclose that, and then they are not part of that discussion with that proposal. And again, everybody has a confidentiality agreement, and all of the panelists are familiar with that and work with that all the time. So it's nothing unusual for them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So our next question is for Cathy, and it asks, is it appropriate to partner with a lab during phase 1?
Absolutely. If you already have a phase 1 and you find like now getting into phase 2, you need some expertise that you don't have within your company, for instance. I mean, that could be one reason. Yes, you can partner with us anytime during your SBIR experience.
Okay. On a related topic, also for Cathy, can a business continue working with the ARS lab during the interim period between SBIR Phase 1 and 2 projects?
Absolutely. Long as there's still a little funding left over, you know, if you run out of material money or whatever, no, but you can go nonstop between Phase 1 and Phase 2 and continue to do experiments and projects with our scientists. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
CRADAs can be renewed. You know, we can amend them. And you say you get Phase 3 funding, and you're like, wow, well, we still need ARS. You could put an amendment in place. You can tweak the statement of work a little bit as time goes on to reflect, you know, the new findings. And you don't have to keep putting a new CRADA in place. You can just keep extending the current CRADA as long as, you know, the statement of work is similar. I mean, if you completely change topic areas, then you'd have to put a new CRADA in place. But you can do a lot. There's a lot of flexibility by doing a CRADA amendment with what you do. So.
Okay, wonderful. Our next question is for Melinda, and it asks, is there a program for people to volunteer as potential ad hoc reviewers for USDA?
There's not a program per se, but you could email either me at melinda.kaufman@usda.gov, or for the topic area, you could email the national program leader listed for that topic area and let me or let the national program leader know of your interest in serving as an ad hoc reviewer.
Okay, great. Very good. And the next question asks, this one's for Cathy. On Regrained, that must have been one of the success stories. Was ARS able to help identify a commercial partner or path to scale up outside of the pilot plant?
So Regrained, maybe I don't have the question right. So Regrained was a small company, and they had something in mind. They wanted to transform beer brewing waste. They came to us. They were the outside partner, and then they set up a CRADA, and they got SBIR funding, and they worked on our pilot plant with our scientists to work out a process for the grain. It actually got patented. I think the patent is actually jointly owned by ARS and the company. But now the company, if you go to their website, they're selling products and they're successful. But yeah, no, so we didn't really help them find a third party. It was really just Regrained and ARS working together. And I'm not sure if that answers the question, but.
Okay, thank you. If that person has a follow-up question, just feel free to type that in. All right. This next question probably can go to either one, but we can start with Melinda. I'm just making sure that we can apply to SBIR without any affiliation to ARS.
Oh, yeah. Yes. No. The affiliation with ARS is completely up to you. It's voluntary, and I think it holds a lot of benefits for SBIR applicants, but it is totally voluntary.
Okay, very good.
So let me just add to that. So the number of applicants that they get for the SBIR program, majority of them do not have relationships with ARS. They're not partnering with us. We're trying to up that number because we see a lot of advantages to these companies. The chances of winning is higher and so forth, but majority of the applicants don't have a partner. So we always talk about partnerships with ARS, but you don't have to necessarily just partner with ARS. You can partner with other agencies within USDA. You know, Forest Service has research, and then they can form partnerships. You can also partner with other agencies. As an example, the second success story I mentioned, they not only partnered with ARS, but they also partnered with NASA and applied for USDA SBIR funding. But anyway, you can form a research partner with other federal agencies and apply to the USDA SBIR program. The only reason we always talk about ARS is because we're the most obvious, because we're in the agriculture sector. So that's where most of the partnerships come from. But you're not limited to partnering with just ARS.
What Cathy says is really true. Thank you for bringing all that up, Cathy. And there's lots of overlap between SBIR programs. So you may go like to the Department of Energy and find that your innovation fits both in the Department of Energy, for example, and USDA, and that is not uncommon. So You know, there's just a lot of overlap throughout the federal government.
And I believe, Melinda, you can apply for SBIR for multiple agencies, but you can only get funding for one agency for one topic area. So if you're going to apply to USDA SBIR and you're going to apply to Department of Energy SBIR, you're going to have to like kind of carve out different topic areas, because if you can't, you're not going to be able to get awarded from both agencies for the same project.
Right, and I just want to emphasize and to really warn people to be very careful with this, but you can actually have the same proposal and apply, say, the Department of Energy has their phase 1 closes, say, in April, and ours closes in October. You can apply with the same proposal to both, but you have to be very careful and make sure you only, if offered, only accept one. And so the best thing to do if you decide to do that is to let each agency know what you're doing. So if you apply to us and you've already applied to the Department of Energy, just let us know that you've done that. Just be upfront about it, and you know, just be very careful that you would only accept one award for the same proposal.
I think that there's a question in the your solicitation that actually asked that question. So, you know, they ask you to disclose that information so that you can't forget it. It's actually one of the questions you have to answer.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much. Our next question for Melinda is, does the review panel weigh the work plan or the market opportunity section more heavily in a phase 1 review?
I wouldn't say one is weighed more heavily than the other. It's kind of about the overall plan and about the innovation and how you present the innovation. If you have a pretty comprehensive vision of what you want to do and plan and how you want to carry that vision out in a plan, and that you have that technical or scientific knowledge is laid out clearly and comprehensively, and then on top of that you have a reasonable, viable commercial plan to actually market your innovation and get it out there into the world. So I can't say that one is weighted more heavily than the other. It's really about the whole and how they fit together and how well thought out they are.
Great, thank you. The next question is for Cathy, and it asks, are all of the pilot plants focused on process development and scalability? And are they all food-centric, or do they have different focus areas and expertise?
So, great question. Each pilot plant has different equipment and different focus areas. And I believe it is on our website, but if you send me an email, I can send you a link because it'll be easier to find it. I believe each of the pilot plants kind of lists the equipment they have and then, you know, the kinds of things that they work on. But yeah, no, they have all kind, you know, they have like, I think biofuels and, you know, it just happens in Albany, California. They just do a lot of food processing. So the pilot plant there is focused on food processing, but there's other pilot plants in the country that have other kinds of equipment. And you know, you don't necessarily have to work in one of our pilot plants. I mean, you can still partner with our scientist. And you're welcome to, even in many cases, if the scientist is okay with it, come into the scientist lab and work with them on some of the experiments and use our facilities to do part of your, you know, your work. It doesn't have to be in a pilot plant if you can't find one that fits what you need. But if you send me an email, I can kind of send you a list, I think, and it kind of gives you an overview of the 5 pilot plants and what they have in them.
Okay, great. As a follow-up to that question, the same person would ask, is it possible to partner with an ARS research facility and a pilot plant concurrently?
You would partner not with a research facility. Our partnerships are with individual scientists. So you would find a scientist in your area of interest, and the partnership agreements are signed by you and then the scientific partner. So yes, you could partner with one of our scientists, and then you could work with them in the pilot plant. I don't know if that answers your question. So, or you can work with them in their own facility if they're not located at a pilot plant. So yeah, agreements are actually with individuals, not with a facility.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, next question is for Melinda. Can we apply to more than one SBIR vertical, and do they have to be done concurrently or one after the other?
So is that applying to USDA for more than one SBIR?
That's what it sounds like, maybe looking at two different topics.
Sure, yes, you can do that. You can only be awarded two, but you can apply, yes, for with more than one, absolutely.
Okay, good to know. I would just say, based on my experience, if you're brand new to the program, not to maybe just focus on one at a time, though, just because it is a very comprehensive proposal. It gives you your best chance at getting a high quality application out. But if you're experienced, that's something that's maybe more in your wheelhouse to submit two at once.
I think that's a
I would
good
agree
point.
with you, Rebecca, because it's very competitive. I mean, there's people that, you know, they work on these things night and day. And so if you're going to try to write 2 or 3 of them, and each agency has their own requirements, their own spacing, their own font, their own this and that, some own page limit. If you're going to try to do multiple proposals all on your own, you know, you're diluting your efforts. So I mean, you can do what you want, but I would agree that your chances would be higher if you really just focus on one to get started.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Next question's for Cathy. Are ARS researchers, scientists more interested in publishing articles in scholarly journals versus sharing royalties on the market-ready product or service that's created through the USDA SBIR project?
So our scientists are typical scientists that you'd find anywhere. They're really interested in research and development and knowledge. In terms of patents, our scientists don't really have a lot of control in licensing technology and making money off of them. They don't have the flexibility like a university professor. So if a technology that, say it comes out of a CRADA and it gets patented, and it's jointly owned, the company has helped develop the technology and an ARS scientist has. Well, the ARS scientist would be on the patent because they're a co-owner. I mean, you know, USDA would own our part of the patent, but the ARS scientist is a co-inventor. They would get some money, but that comes out of what USDA gives them, and it's limited. There's a formula for what they would get in royalties. They're probably not going to. I mean, I don't know of any of our scientists that have made like a killing on a technology in terms of royalties and money, because our scientists can't even really go off on their own and start their own company. They would have to leave the agency. They can't be a federal worker and start a company, which I know in universities they can do that. So our companies aren't really focused on working with you to see how much money they can make. It's really about, most of them just want impact. They want to see technology out there. They want to, you know, they spent years maybe working in a particular area of interest, and they would just love to get that out in the world. But they don't really have control on making money on patents. It's all done through negotiations through the tech transfer office. And, you know, and if you're a joint owner in a patent in your company, you can use that technology. You don't really even need to come back and license ARS ARS as part of it, because you're free to use it. You're legal to use it because you're an owner of the patent. Now, if you do want a license to the technology, you don't want ARS to have any rights. You want to license the whole technology because you need that to secure capital, more funding, and you feel like you want to lock that technology up completely within your company. You have first option to negotiate a license, and so that you could, it means that the technology wouldn't be available for anybody else. You would have full exclusive license to the technology. This may be way too much information, but anyway, that's sort of my long answer. I probably overdid it a little bit.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you, Cathy. Let's see. Next one is also for Cathy. Do small businesses need to engage their own legal assistants to prepare their end of a credit agreement?
Well, so I kind of looked, we do a ton of CRADAs, and we over the years have redone the CRADA template over and over again, and we have tried to make it as easy and simple as possible while keeping the legal language in that's required, because as a federal lab, there's certain things we have to do. So you can hire a lawyer if you feel like you read the template and you're like, whoa, I'm nervous. But as a layman, when I read it, although I've been reading it for years, so maybe that doesn't count, but as a layman, when you read it, it's really not that hard to understand. We have plenty of people internally in our office that can help you understand a section of it. We're not out to gouge companies. The government isn't trying to make money off of a company. We're actually trying to see you succeed. So in theory, you probably don't need to spend money on an attorney, but there are companies that do. They're nervous and they don't feel like they want to engage in a creative without having an attorney read the legal language. But again, we've made this as easy and user-friendly as we can. We work a lot with bigger companies. I mean, of course, they because create agreement and read it, you'd say, well, that's not really too scary. And again, you can, before you run out and hire a lawyer, call us and talk to our tech transfer coordinators that I mentioned. They're very knowledgeable on the template. I mean, they've been negotiating these things for years and they know every single sentence, every single word in that template. Talk to them first, make sure you understand everything. And if you really think you're nervous or scared, then you could go out, and if you feel like you need a second set of eyes, you could hire an attorney, but it's certainly not necessary.
Okay, thank you so much, Cathy. It's always good to know when you do and don't need to engage your own legal team.
Right. I mean, it's up to you, but I see a lot of companies coming in that don't. Now the big companies do, because they want everything. They want to take over the entire ARS, but so they try to put stuff in agreements that are not possible. But smaller, they have their own big legal team and so forth. But most smaller companies, they may have a few questions or a few little points, but they usually don't hire an attorney. A few do, but not many.
Okay. All right. Very good. The next one looks like it's for Cathy as well. Can ARS scientists serve on advisory boards for the company?
I don't think they can. No, I don't think they can just be an advisor. It has to be a research partnership, because our scientists are focused on research and development. They don't serve on board. They're usually not board members for companies and stuff.
Okay. Good. All right. I don't see any other questions at the moment, but since we do have a little bit of time left, I wanted to do a quick plug for National SBIR Week, which is coming up in July. So I have just a few slides on that. Let's see if I can share my screen. Oops. Can everyone, or Cathy, Melinda, can you see my slides?
Sure can.
Okay. All right, so National SBIR Week is something that's going on in lieu of a road tour this year. Last year, it was also virtual with COVID-19, and there was a lot of good feedback that more people were able to participate, more rural communities were able to access the information. So they're going to do a virtual week this time, which will be July 19th through 23rd. You can find more on sbrroadtour.com. In conjunction with the National Week, we at the ASBTDC are offering some free events that kind of supplement this idea of National SBIR Week. So in order to get ready for one-on-ones with program managers, which I would imagine includes USDA, I'm offering an event on June 30th about how to get ready with your quad chart and other best practices for engaging program managers in those one-on-one conversations. You will have access to the details on these in your follow-up email, but I just want to mention these here. On July 20th, we'll have behind the scenes what SBIR reviewers discuss. So we have a few folks that have been on these panels before that are going to share their experience, give some tips for those that are new to the process, what to expect when their proposals are going through that review panel. And the third one is a few examples of companies from Arkansas that have won seed funding, both through the SBIR program, as well as through some customer discovery focused programs here. That's often a great way to prepare for SBIR, is to do that primary market research, getting out there, talking to the people you'd like to be your customers and finding out more about their problems and opportunities. So you'll hear from quite a range of different types of companies at that July 22nd event too. Also want to mention that you'll get a survey email from our center within a few days, and please take a few moments just to give us some feedback on how you like this event, what you might like to see from us in the future as well. And that's everything on my end. I just want to also just plug our information, how you can find out more about what we do here. If you are interested in the USDA SBIR program and want to get some assistance that's free of charge to help you with preparing a competitive application, please reach out to me and we'll be happy to assist you with that process. And that's everything. See, I just don't see any questions, so I just want to thank Melinda and Cathy so much for your time and all your great insights. I thought this was wonderful. This will be great information to help people be more successful in their applications. That'll have the opportunity to look at that when the RFA opens next month.
Thank you for the opportunity, Rebecca. I really appreciate it. And please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. And
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, and you will be receiving all this information within a couple days through GoToWebinar email. But thanks again. Hope to see you at our next events with National SBIR Week.
Okay.
Bye-bye.